Hi, my name is Lily and welcome to my channel, and welcome to my 23 for 2023 check-in. So we're over a month past halfway into 2023, so I thought I'd take a minute to look back on my 23 for 2023 and see how I'm doing. So I will link the video up in the cards if you want to go and watch it in its own right. I won't be reacting to it, I'm just going to go through the books that I talked about in that video and give an update on where I'm at. Spoiler alert, we've not made good progress. And I also was making a list of them to talk through in this video and realised I actually only picked 22 for 2023, but I'm going to forgive myself because there was at least 2 full series in that 23 for 2023, so technically I chose more, but yeah, there's only 22 actual books I guess to talk about. So first up we have Loveless by Alice Oseman. So this is a YA contemporary. It follows a young woman named Georgia who's just started university, and she's always had trouble with romantic relationships, but is determined that one day she will get one herself because she is just so obsessed with fan fiction and fictional romance. So at her new university she decides to join a society and attempt to find a relationship, but in doing so she ends up in this comedy of errors and starts to discover the terms asexual, aromantic, and starts to wonder how they could relate to her. So I haven't read this one yet. I still do really want to read this. This is one of the few non-fantasy books on this list because I was trying to focus on books I wouldn't be already reading for dedicated themed vlogs, and books that have been on my TBR for a long time, which is mostly fantasy and sci-fi, which is not really what I'm reading at the moment. So this one is probably the most likely to get read soon. I just haven't picked it up yet and I have no good reason for it, but hopefully I will soon. Then we have Mina and the Undead by Amy McCall. This is a young adult fantasy, horror, mystery kind of book. This one follows Mina, who is coming from England to New Orleans to visit her sister Libby, and while she is there she gets a job working in this horror movie mansion place, and she discovers a dead body with puncture marks in the neck and hair nearby that looks like her sister Libby's. So she has to start investigating this murder to try and prove it's not Libby, and discovers that somebody is recreating supernatural murders throughout the city. So it sounds really cool and really interesting, and YA thriller has actually been a pretty solid hit for me. I tend to prefer it to adult thrillers, so I do think I will pick this up, but at this point it's August now, so I might wait and save it for October for spooky season. Now we have one that I have actually read, and that is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. This is a YA fantasy. It follows a young girl who is the daughter of a tailor. She is the only one of the siblings who is interested in the job, even though she's the only girl and therefore is not supposed to be able to become a tailor. But one day her father gets a letter from the emperor saying that he has been invited to a competition to become the emperor's new tailor, and she goes in his place. So it was pitched as a Mulan and what do you call it? Project Runway crossover, which are 2 of my favourite things, so I thought I would love this book, but I didn't. I gave it 3 stars, I think. It just felt like there's a part 1 and a part 2 to this book, and they should have been 2 separate books. You have the tailor competition and then you have what comes after it, and it felt like having both in one book just made it too rushed, and I couldn't really get invested in what's happening. There was a lot of telling instead of showing, and it just didn't work for me. I was going to continue this series and I borrowed book 2 from the library, but I just couldn't get into book 2. It was very, very different vibe to book 1, so in the end I decided to DNF that one and DNF the whole series. So I did read this book from my 23 for 2023, but unfortunately I am not continuing the series. Then we have The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, which I feel like I put on so many TBRs because I really need to continue the series, and I have not yet. I think I have some of them on audio, so I might pick them up soon on audio instead, but I do really need to continue the series. I loved book 1 and I just need to pick them up, but there's something about it where when I love a book so much I get scared to pick up its sequel in case I don't love that one as much. So we'll see if I pick it up anytime soon, but this one might be one of the ones that doesn't make it. And next is another series continuation, which is A Darkening Plane by Philip Reeve. So this one is the final book in the Mortal Engines series, one of my favourite series of all time, even though I haven't finished it. And that is why I haven't finished it, is because it is one of my favourites and I am really scared of finishing it and leaving the world behind. And I still haven't read it because I know I will need to either find a good recap for the first 3 books, or I will need to reread the first 3 books, which is a lot of effort, and honestly I haven't been up to that yet. But I am quite determined that I want to read this one soon because I want to be able to finish that series so I can read some of the spin-offs. Then we have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Rosanne Brown. This is a YA fantasy inspired by West African folklore. So this follows Malik, who is from kind of a poverty-stricken area. Him and his sister are going to this festival in the city, and when they get there, his sister is abducted by a malevolent spirit. The spirit promises that if he kills the crown princess, that the spirit will release his sister. So he rigs his way into a competition where you can win the heart of the princess, basically marry her, if you win the competition. And then you have Karina, who is the princess. Her mother, the sultana, has just died, and there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of politics. So she decides she wants to try and resurrect her mother to take back over being sultana, and to do that she needs the beating heart of a king. So she has set up this tournament so that she can marry someone who can then become the king, and she can take their beating heart to resurrect her mother. So Karina and Malik are both on this mission to destroy each other. Have I read it? No. Do I have a good reason? Also no. This is another one that I just need to pick up, but fantasy hasn't been my vibe, and honestly I don't know where this one is in my TBR, like as in position physically. So if I dig it out, I might read it soon. Next is another series continuation that I have not read, Valso Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer. So this one is the 3rd and final book in the Cursebreaker series, which started with A Curse So Dark and Lonely. It originated as a Beauty and the Beast retelling, in which a girl from the real world is taken into this fantasy land, and she has to do the Beauty and the Beast falling in love with the prince before a set time. So this one is a culmination of the previous 2 books and seeing what happens. Obviously it's a trilogy, it's the last book in a trilogy, but the 2 books are very different, follow different characters, and they come together in this 3rd book. And the reason, again, I haven't read this one is because I don't have the energy to be rereading books, and I need to reread book 1 and 2 to get to it. And then we have A Winter's Promise by Christelle Debeau. This is a YA fantasy that, again, I have not read. I don't know much about this one. I know it's a political fantasy, and it follows a young girl who is betrothed to a man from a different city, and she has to go there because of the betrothal, and no one there can be trusted, and she is being used as like a pawn in their political games. So I think the reason I've been avoiding this one is because it is chunky, and also political fantasies are not really my thing. So even though I was really hyped to try it, I'm now scared. Then we have the A Darker Shade of Magic series by V. Schwab. I have read book 1. I was going to start reading the rest of the series when the author started their read-along on YouTube, and then I missed it, and so I've been putting it off. I don't really know. I liked book 1, but I'm not sure I'm going to love books 2 and 3, because V. Schwab is very hit and miss for me. So I don't know if this one's going to get read this year. Then we have Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is his first sci-fi, and I believe also his first YA. If it is YA, I believe it is. So this is about humanity being trapped on this planet where they are constantly being attacked by some alien forces that they don't understand, and Spencer, the main character, really wants to be a pilot to help fight in this war, and one day she finds the wreckage of a ship and realizes if she's able to fix it up and get herself to and through flight school, she will be able to pursue her dream of being a pilot. But uniquely, this ship has a soul, so she has to negotiate with the ship. I haven't read this one yet, but I actually really wanted to read it last month and I could not find it. I don't know where it is in in my TBR storage, so I do need to find it. I really want to read it. I think in August I'm going to make the effort, or at least in August I am actually making the effort to recatalogue all of my TBR. So I'm going through every single storage hiding place and writing down where all of the books are, which I already did anyway, but I hadn't been keeping it up to date, so I had lost track of where some of the books were, and Skyward is one of them. So once I know where Skyward is, I'm going to be reading it probably in September. Then we have Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Nyang, which is another sequel that I have not read. And again, this is similar to Skyward. I was actually going to put it on my August TBR and I couldn't find it. So once I'm able to locate it, it will be going on a TBR, hopefully September or October. Now we have the first one that's definitely not going to be read in 2023, probably ever for me, and that is Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. Unfortunately, I have developed some new triggers this year, which means I absolutely cannot read this book. So as much as I was really excited at the beginning of the year to read it, because I didn't read it before those triggers developed, I will no longer be able to read it. So definitely not happening, and it will be one of the only ones, hopefully, that I definitely will not be reading. Then we have Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is urban fantasy YA, and it's kind of pitched as like The Godfather with, I think it has like a Romeo and Juliet vibes, and it is about like warring mafias in this urban fantasy world. So I was actually going to be buddy reading this at the beginning of the year, but unfortunately that buddy read never happened, which is why I haven't got around to it, because I was waiting to see if it was going to happen. I don't know when I'm going to pick this one up, but I might try and find another buddy reader, because I feel like I need the peer pressure on this one to get reading. I'm excited about the next one because I am working towards this one, and that is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. So no, I haven't read it yet, but I am currently in the process of rereading the Throne of Glass series so that I can read Kingdom of Ash, because that is the way I want to do it. I know I could read summaries, but I know I love rereading this series anyway. I've done it 3 times already, just never made it to Kingdom of Ash, but this time we're gonna actually reread Tower of Dawn so that I can then read Kingdom of Ash. So fingers crossed. I will be trying to read Kingdom of Ash in September, so I need to get through the whole series pretty quick. I'm already on book 2, so we are doing well. Then we have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garver. This is the spin-off series from the Caraval series, which is one of my favourite series of all time, and no, haven't read it yet because I am too intimidated. And also I'm kind of tempted at this point to wait until all 3 are out, because the 3rd one comes out later this year. I think it's November, and then I might binge them back to back. Then we have These Violet Delights by Chloe Gong, which is a YA urban fantasy and another Romeo and Juliet retelling. This one definitely is the Romeo and Juliet retelling. I don't know why I haven't read this one. I think I just forgot it was on this list, to be honest with you. That's all I can say. I don't know a lot about this one other than it is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and that's why I didn't originally haul it, is because I'm not a big fan of Romeo and Juliet and their retellings, but I've heard such good things about this one I ended up hauling it eventually, obviously. So yeah, I should probably try and read that soon. Then we have King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, and again, I forgot this one was on my list, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get to this one this year, because I'm not sure how I want to tackle it. I need to talk to someone who has read it and see if I need to remember much about the other series to be able to read this one, because if I do, then it's definitely not going to happen in 2023, because I don't want to reread all of the Grishaverse books in 2023, but we'll see. Then we have Six Crimson Cranes, which is a YA fantasy. This one is about a princess who has forbidden magic running through her veins. She normally keeps it under wraps, but on her wedding day, she accidentally lets it go. This catches the eye of her stepmother, who curses the princess's brothers to all be turned into cranes, and then basically tells the girl that every word she speaks, one of her brothers will die, so she has to go on this journey to save her brothers without speaking a word. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm working up to it. I wanted to read Spin the Dawn first because that one was gifted to me, and I think Six Crimson Cranes I bought myself. So I wanted to read Spin the Dawn first because it's the same author, and now that I've read that one, I will pick up Six Crimson Cranes, but I was giving myself a break because I didn't want my dislike for Spin the Dawn to poison my reading of Six Crimson Cranes. Then we have The Boy Who Steals Houses by C.G. Drews. This is a YA contemporary about 2 brothers who are essentially homeless and autistic, and they break into people's houses when they're away to live in them. But once they break into a house and the people arrive home, I think, and they all mistake them for being friends of someone else in the family, so they're able to kind of hide out and stay while they're there. I haven't read this one yet because I want to vlog it. and I've not been ready to vlog it yet because it is autism rep and an own voices author, so I do really want to vlog it, but I haven't done that yet. But I might do this in September because I'm trying to save books that I'm really excited for September because it's my birthday month. Then we have A Gilded Walls by Roshani Chokshi. I don't remember much about this one, but I know it's a YA fantasy and it is a heist fantasy, so it's actually one that has been coming up on TBRs recently where I've been intrigued to read it, and I just haven't, it's never been the highest priority thing, so I never picked it up. But again, I do want to read it soon because I love a heist book. Then we have A City of Brass by Shannon Chakraborty. This one I am not sure if I will read this one, or if I do, I'm kind of expected to DNF it. I have read it before and soft DNF'd it, and I don't know how that's going to go. From what I remember about this one, it is about a woman who fakes magic, and then one day while she's faking magic, she accidentally summons a real djinn, and this djinn then takes her to the land of the djinn. I don't remember much about the plot other than that, but I think it's like a political fantasy, and it's an adult fantasy, so not really my vibe. I want to give it another go, but I'm not convinced I will this year, but I will make an effort. And the final one is XOXO by Axio, and I don't know why I haven't read this one yet. I read K-pop Confidential when I was on holiday, and it made me realise that yes, like K-pop books are really good and I do really want to read them, and I have a couple on my TBR, so I should read them. But I don't know, I think this one was on a TBR and again I couldn't locate it, and the theme of all the ones that I couldn't locate is they're all at the top of this wardrobe, I think. So when I get to cataloguing that, I will dig it out and find it. But I'm also tempted to make it into a K-pop book vlog. So if you think that would be a good idea, if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments, because I have a few K-pop books, so I could actually do that. So that's my update. I have not read many. I think I've read one, and one I definitely will not be reading, so not great progress. I have quite a few books to try and make the effort to read in the latter half of the year. If I haven't read that many, I will try to put them all on my December TBR and vlog trying to read them all, and we'll see how that goes. But I will try and make an extra effort to read them before the end of the year. So let me know in the comments, have you read any of these books? Are there any that you think I should make the effort to read sooner rather than any of the others? And if you want to leave me a comment to just let me know that you were here, leave me an ice cream emoji in the comments. So if you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to see more content from me. All of my social media links are in the description below. Thank you again. Bye!